Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Yashodanandana Rajadanandana Yashodanandana Rajadanandana Jamuna Tira Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Rajadanandana Yashodanandana Rajadanandana Yamuna Tira Jaya Gopi Jana Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Yamuna Shiva Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Radha Madhav Radha Madhav Jai Radha Madhav Radha Jai Gaura Premanande. Jai Vishubhar Paramahamsa Pri Vrajagacharya Stotra Satta Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Chirabhai Charan Arvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Sridham Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Skandi Biti Founder Charya's Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Srila Hadjas Thakur Ki Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Harinam Sankirtan Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Aksuramilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadama Him Dadati Swapadam Tikam Bandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavam Sya Sri Rupam Sagradatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tvam Sadivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanditam Scha Hai Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tata Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tirubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vyayevasya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Nara, Narayan Rishi, the Supremost Human Being, unto Mother Saraswati, the Goddess of Learning, and unto Sridham Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed, practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swasyaya Namaha. The Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, the Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Sarabhyay Namaha. Om Sridham Namaha. Om Sridham Namaha. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatkripa tamaham bande Shri Gurum Dinataranam yatkripa tamaham bande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Bhagavatam class. We continue from the second canto, the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter number 6, entitled Purusha Sukta Confirmed. And I think it is text 11. Yes. 11. Avyakta Rasa Sindhunam Bhutanam Nidhanasya Cha Udaram Piritam Pumso Hridayam Manasah Padam Avyakta Rasa Sindhunam Bhutanam Nidhanasya Cha Udaram Viditam Pumso Hridayam Manasa Padam Avyakta Rasa Sindhunam Bhutanam Nidhanasya Cha Udaram Viditam Pumso Hridayam Manasa Padam Avyakta Rasa Sindhunam Bhutanam Nindhanasya Cha Udaram Viditam Pumso Hridayam Manasa Padam Avyakta Rasa Sindhunam Bhutanam Nidhanasya Cha Udaram Viditam Pumso Hridayam Manasa Padam Avyakta Rasa Sindhunam Bhutanam Nidhanasya Cha Udaram Viditam Pumso Hridayam Manasa Padam. Avyakta Rasa Sindhunam Bhutanam Nidhanasya Cha Udaram Viditam Pumso Hridayam Manasa Padam. Avyakta, the impersonal feature. Rasa Sindhunam, of the seas and oceans of water. Bhutanam, of those who take birth in the material world. Nidhanasya, of the annihilation. Cha, also. Udaram, his belly. Viditam, is known by the intelligent class of men. Pumsaha, of the great personality. Hridayam, the heart. Manasaha, of the subtle body. Padam, the place. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. The impersonal feature of the Lord is the abode of great oceans, and His belly is the resting place for the materially annihilated living entities. His heart is the abode of the subtle material bodies of living beings. Thus, it is known by the intelligent class of men. Kindly repeat after me. The impersonal feature of the Lord is the abode of great oceans, and His belly is the resting place for the materially annihilated living entities. His heart is the abode of the subtle material bodies of living beings. Thus, it is known by the intelligent class of men. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita 8:17-18, it is stated that according to human calculations, one day of Brahma is equal to 1,000 ages of 4 millenniums, 4,300,000 years each. And the same period is calculated to be his night also. A Brahma lives for 100 such years and then dies. A Brahma, who is generally a great devotee of the Lord, attains liberation after such a downfall. The universe, called the Brahmanda, or the round football-like domain controlled by a Brahma, is thus annihilated, and thus the inhabitants of a particular planet or of the whole universe are also annihilated. Avyakta, mentioned here in this verse, means the night of Brahma, when partial annihilation takes place and the living entities of that particular Brahmanda up to the planets of Brahmaloka, along with the big oceans, etc., all repose in the belly of the Virat Purusha. At the end of the Brahma's night, the creation again takes place, and the living entities reserved within the belly of the Lord are let loose to play their respective parts as if being awakened from a deep slumber. Since the living entities are never destroyed, the annihilation of the material world does not annihilate the existence of the living entities. But until liberation is attained, one has to accept one material body after another, again and again. The human life is meant for making a solution to this repeated change of bodies, and thereby attaining a place in the spiritual sky where everything is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. In other words, the subtle forms of the living entities take place in the heart of the Supreme Being, and such forms take tangible shape at the time of creation. Translation again. The impersonal feature of the Lord is the abode of great oceans, and his belly is the resting place for the materially annihilated living entities. His heart is the abode of the subtle material bodies of living beings. Thus it is known by the intelligent class of men. So the word annihilation, the living entities who have come to this material world experience different types of annihilation. Annihilation means destruction. Bhagavatam explains different types of annihilation. Some are mentioned here. The annihilation at the end of the day of Lord Brahma. Every day when Lord Brahma takes rest, the whole universe and all the living entities become annihilated. In another place, it mentions how at that time living entities merge in the body of Garbhodakshai Vishnu. Then there is annihilation. Second annihilation is the annihilation after 100 years of the life of Brahma, when he also dies. Then here Prabhupada mentions generally Brahma is a devotee. It means sometimes he's not a devotee or not a pure devotee. If a pure devotee, then he will go back home, back to Godhead. If not a pure devotee, at the time of that annihilation, also the living entities in the material world become annihilated and merge into the body of Mahavishnu. So there is in this way, there are different types of annihilation. Just like during the day of Lord Brahma, we, the small living entities, we transmigrate because Lord Brahma's day is billions of years. So we transmigrate from one body to another uh, according to our desires, unfulfilled desires. We transmigrate because of unfulfilled material desires. Due to identification with this material body, we cannot live without desire. That means that until and unless we come in contact with spiritual knowledge, transcendental knowledge, we will continue to have material desires. It is only when we are fortunate, Kono Bhagyavan Jeev, fortunate soul, Brahmando Brahmite Kono Bhagyavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. Only when we, out of some great fortune, receive this Bhakti Lata Bij, this seed of bhakti, this knowledge of devotional service, this knowledge that I am not this body, then we have the means by which to stop this cycle of repeated birth and death. It means that all of us have been wandering in this material world for a very long time. And we have been sleeping for long times. At the end of every day of Lord Brahma's day is billions of years. So when he sleeps, we are unconscious for billions of years. What to speak of when we all merge in the body of Mahavishnu. So we are constantly in a state of we could say unconsciousness or illusion. How the Prabhupada nicely explains, our acharyas explain, actually living entity in the material world is in constant illusion, maya, both in the daytime and at nighttime. At nighttime we are dreaming. Sometimes we fly in the sky. You fly sometimes when you dream? Even somebody who has a big body can fly at night. I think you have no problem to fly. Small bodies fly more easily. Sometimes I dream, I just like, I take a deep breath and and when I wake up, I try, it doesn't work. So in the nighttime we have so many dreams. Sometimes so-called good dream. Some people have all the time bad dreams. They're called nightmare. Nightmare. Some big lion is coming in, eating you up. Start crying. People sometimes they yell in their dream. It's not very good thing to sleep with people who have bad dreams all the time. So, but when we wake up, it was only a dream. Fortunately, it was only a dream. It's not real, isn't it? So, our acharyas, they explain that this night dreaming, when we wake up in the day, we know that this is not real. But when we go to bed, we forget about our day life. So the acharyas, they say that your day life is also a dream. So we have two kinds of dream. We have night dream and daydream. There is the expression daydream. Some teachers, they will sometimes tell the student, "You're daydreaming. You're not here. You're in the class, but you're not listening. You're sitting in the Bhagavatam class. Your body is here, but your mind is some other place." That's called daydream. But actually, even if we are, of course, in Bhagavatam class, we're not daydreaming. But when we are not connected with Krishna, when we are on the bodily platform, when we are on the body consciousness, bodily consciousness, this is also dream. This is illusion. This is not real because not connected with the Atma, the soul. That means that we're dreaming all the time. Night dream, daydream. And that means that we are in illusion. We are living in a night world of illusion and a day world of illusion. Therefore, in such condition, we cannot be happy. Srila Prabhupada explains that the standard example, the classic example given by the acharyas is like, of course, I think most of us have not had the experience of walking in a desert. Did you ever get lost in a desert? In the desert, the earth is becoming more and more desert. The deserts are expanding because we're not living properly. Because we're actually not. The number of cows are reducing. Cows are meant to fight against the process of desertification. That is Krishna's natural arrangement. Cows, by walking, cows actually can make a desert again like a big, green, healthy piece of land. Yeah, they're doing in different places. So just like in the desert, this example is given. If some animal somehow goes in the desert, because when you're in the desert, what you see, this side, this side, this side, it's all the same. It's all sand. So you don't know which way to go. And then there is heavy sun, very hot sun. And the rays of the sun, when they reflect on the sand, it creates an illusion of water. We think we see water. So the animals, they're very thirsty, walking in the desert for so many hours or so many days. Very, very thirsty. So they start seeing water. Actually, there's no water. It is illusion. They start running. As they run, the water also runs. The more they run, the quicker they run, the quicker the water also, so-called water. This is our life in the material world without Krishna consciousness. We are running after what is false, Maya. Maya means what is not. And Maya means forgetfulness of Krishna. Yeah. So this verse and the purport is very interesting and not so easy to fully understand, because in the translation it mentions how the impersonal feature of the Lord, the heart of that impersonal feature of the Lord is the abode of the subtle material bodies, and the belly is the resting place of the materially annihilated living entities. Our body is having both gross and subtle material substance. The gross material substance, earth, water. So that mentions here the belly of the universal form of the Lord is a resting place for the materially annihilated living entities. Whereas his heart is the abode of the subtle material bodies. Subtle material bodies. We have how many bodies you have in your body? How many bodies he has in his body? Did you ever think about that? Huh? Two. No. More. You don't know who's in your body. You have at least four. We should know who's inside our body. It's like if you're living in some apartment and somebody else is living there, you should know. You should know who is that. You have four bodies. All of us have four bodies. One is, two are material and two are spiritual. The two material bodies, one is called the gross material body. And the subtle material body is mind, intelligence, and ego. That is explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Bhumir, that verse. Kam mano buddhir evacha ahankara iti amme bhinna prakriti rasada. Bhinna, separated energy. Separated energy of the Lord is 8. 5 gross and 3 subtle. So we have these two material bodies. Then above that, one of those two material bodies we can see. Some portion, not all of it. We can see earth, we can see water. We can't see fire. If we saw fire, we would be afraid. But fire is there. Fire means heat. His body. We know that our body is especially having fire when we get the fever. Our body is always at 98, a healthy body, 98.6 Fahrenheit, which corresponds to centigrade 33, I think. 33 centigrade. So when the body gets, if the body gets over 105 or 6, it's too hot. Living entity cannot stay. So these two material bodies, then there is the third body. Third body is the subtle body. We, Jiva, Jivatma. That is the third body. That's the real us. But not awakened. And then the fourth body is Paramatma. We're not alone. There's Atma and Paramatma. Yeah. Should take a video of that one fine morning. Something forces going around. So, so in the text it mentions that the materially united living entities, which we can understand as the gross body, which means the material elements actually, earth, water, fire, air, they merge into the belly of the universal form of the Lord, whereas the subtle material bodies, mind, intelligence, ego, merge into the heart. But then at the end of the purport, Prabhupada mentions, in other words, the last line, in other words, the subtle forms of the living entities take place in the heart of the Supreme Being, and such forms take tangible shape at the time of creation. The subtle forms of the living entities take place in the heart of the Supreme Being. So that can be understood in two ways. That means, as the text is, the translation is mentioning, that the subtle material bodies, they are in the heart, and of course, more subtle body means spirit soul. We are eternally within Krishna. We belong to Krishna. We are Mamai Vangsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. So it means that actually, just like every day we spend maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 45 minutes hearing Bhagavatam. This is a very short time. Very short time to actually deeply understand and clearly understand Bhagavatam. That's why Vedic culture is arranged in such a way that we find more time, that we have more time to understand, to connect, to hear. That's why Vedic culture is minimizing so-called economic development. Economic development has to be there to meet our basic material necessities of life. But when that becomes a primary goal and objective, which is the case in modern day society, then it means that even for devotees, we get all caught up in that. Then that means that even for devotees, we have much less time, isn't it? I mean, we're fortunate we have like a fixed program, but many of our devotees who are living in the city, they're and who are working, because you can't live in the city without working. You cannot live in the city without having a car or a motorbike, isn't it? I mean, a few people, work it out. They have like a bus pass. They take a bus, but very few. Majority don't have that luxury. And of course, taking a bus depends on where you are is troublesome. Most people in America, you cannot live without a car. And to get a car, you need money. And most people actually cannot immediately buy a car, so they borrow money. Actually, I don't know what the statistics are, but probably 90% of the population in America, at least, live off their credit card. They have a nice system, credit card. And it used to be that you have to apply for a credit card. Now you don't have to apply it, they'll send it to you. They'll induce you to take it. No, take it. You don't have to pay any interest for the first year. they want you to become addicted actually to using credit card. I used to have credit card. I don't now. But the credit card seems to be very convenient. It's like, one card, you just show your card, you can buy this, that. You can buy a car, and a credit card. But then it's like people buy house. They'll take a loan from the bank. And then if the house is costing, let's say, $500,000, wow. I mean, in America, you can't get a house on. So then, because you have to take a loan and there's interest you have to pay for the next 40 years. Your whole life is focused on paying back the loan plus the interest. And sometimes the interest is maybe half the house or half the amount that that you have borrowed. That is why this system of this was, of course, introduced here in India amongst the farmers, simple farmers. They have been told the glories of the tractor, Mr. Tractor. Mr. Tractor can make your life much easier. You don't have to work so hard. You just sit there and just learn how to drive. And
subsidies.
Subsidies.
Yeah.
Subsidized. Yes. But the poor farmer who is very simple, yes, he believes that whole story, and so he will borrow money, and then one fine summer, the crop is not coming. There's not enough water, or something, or he becomes ill, and then he starts to get behind in his payment, and then for a simple, ordinary village person, this becomes like a major crisis, and then the only solution is suicide, and that we know here in India, especially. The latest statistics, well, maybe not latest, but the last time I looked at statistics for India was that, I mean, it's truly unbelievable, amazing, but every, I think, 35 seconds, a farmer was committing suicide. In the last so many years, there were like over 300,000 suicides. Because we are doing things artificially, because we are not being properly guided, isn't it? We are being guided by, so-called guided, we're being led by people who have all kinds of material motivations. So therefore, material world is a very complicated place, which is forcing all of us to go through these different processes of annihilation. Just one time leaving the body, what to speak of hundreds and thousands of times, isn't it? Just one time leaving the body is a big trauma, isn't it? So many disruptions, so many sorrows and pains and suffering is there. We don't think about it. We don't want to think about it. Yeah. But those who are, yeah, it mentions also only those who are intelligent know about these matters, and those who are very intelligent know how to bring a solution to these problems. So the solution is to cultivate Krishna consciousness and to minimize our entanglement in the material world. And the ultimate solution is to get out of the material world and go back to the spiritual world and live eternally with Krishna without having to be entangled in this cycle of repeated birth and death in the material world. So I think, well, I'll just read the verse again as we normally do. Text 11, the impersonal feature of the Lord is the abode of the great oceans, and his belly is the resting place of the materially annihilated living entities. His heart is the abode of the subtle bodies, of the subtle material bodies. That's important. His heart is the abode of the subtle material bodies of living beings. Thus it is known by the intelligent class of men. That's why in the purport at the last sentence, in other words, the subtle forms of the living entities. But here it doesn't mention the subtle material forms. It just mentions the subtle forms of the living entities take place in the heart of the Supreme Being. Okay. Any question? Comment? Today? No question. Okay. You should. Jai Grantaraj Bhagavatam ki, Jai Sridham Prabhupada ki, Gaura Pimanandi. Daydreaming.